Hello P6, welcome to St Patrick's Day, and it's time for us to think about our literacy for today. So to get underway, why don't you begin by thinking about your phonics. This week we are thinking about the N sound. Yesterday we looked at our words for sorting, so for today why don't you get those words for sorting, go and choose about 4 or 5 of those words and go and put those into sentences of your own. Bonus points if you can manage to combine more than one word into a sentence. For your reading today, of course, it would be great if you were to head over to the Bug Club website and go and do some work there. Access your books. Don't forget to have a go at the quiz questions as well, please. The only way that a book will show up as finished is if you have actually completed the questions. So have a go at the questions as well. And then, of course, it would be great to spend some time reading one of your own books as well. But do plenty of reading, please, P6. Now, today we're going to think for our main activity about the difference between phrases and sentences. And on the website, I've explained to you a little bit about the difference between the two. I've said to you that a sentence is a group of words that make sense on its own, and every sentence must contain a verb. Now, let's look for a moment at an example of 2 different sentences. So the first one says, "We returned to the haunted castle that evening." This is a sentence. It makes sense on its own. I can picture the scene. There's more than one person, it's we. What did we do? We returned, and we've got extra details to the haunted castle that evening. This is a sentence. It makes sense, and it's got a verb. Sentences must have a verb. What about the second one? "The baby gurgled happily in his cot." Does it make sense? Yes, I can picture the scene. I can picture the baby in his cot and he's happy. He's gurgling happily. Which words in that sentence is the verb, P6? Yeah, it's gurgled, isn't it? That's what the baby did. So there is our verb for this sentence. So sentences make sense and they have to have a verb. Now, not all groups of words that we write down together are sentences. Sometimes it's what we call a phrase. And on this page, I've got 3 phrases. Now, a phrase is a group of words that would normally make up part of a sentence. It's not the full sentence, it's only part of the sentence. Phrases would normally be quite short, maybe only a couple of words long. But on their own, they don't make sense. We need more information to make the whole thing make sense. And most phrases do not have a verb. Look at this one, towards the city. Well, the question when I read that is, well, what was going towards the city? Was it a person? Was it a car? Was it a train? Was it an aeroplane flying towards the city? I actually don't have enough information. I know that something is moving towards the city, but I'm not given enough information. So that is a phrase. In first place is a phrase. It's giving me some details, but I don't know who or what is in first place, what's happening. Is it a race, a competition of some sort? I'm not given any more details. So again, this is a phrase. It might form part of a sentence. We could maybe add more information in. So we could maybe say that the Ferrari finished in first place in the Formula 1 race. That would be nice. But that information isn't there. So at the minute when it just says in first place, it's only a phrase. I don't have enough information to turn it into a sentence. This last one, didn't understand. Didn't understand. Well, who didn't understand? What did they not understand? Again, we haven't got enough information to tell us that it's a sentence. Okay, we can't actually make sense of this. We could add more information in, perhaps. He didn't understand how to do the decimal fraction. That would become a sentence. But didn't understand on its own doesn't help me. Didn't understand, well actually I've got verbs here. Didn't and understand go together, they're all part of a verb. Some phrases do have verbs, some don't, some do, But just having a verb on its own doesn't turn it into a sentence. So sentences have to have a verb and they have to make sense. Phrases are normally short grips of words and they don't make sense on their own. Now for your task today, P6, you are going to choose one of two levels to have a go at. If you choose to do the higher level task, you are thinking about the phrases that we can see here. There are two different groups of phrases that we're learning about. We're learning about verb phrases that have a verb in them. We're also going to learn about noun phrases which have a noun in them. For part one, you're going to choose the most suitable noun phrase to put into these sentences. Part two, choose one of the verb phrases. In the making sure part, you're going to complete the sentences by yourself by adding either your own noun phrase or your own verb phrase. And then in the final part, practice your punctuation. You are going to write out these sentences, adding the capital letters, full stops, commas, anything else that is needed. Speech marks, perhaps. Then see if you can make them more interesting by perhaps adding in some more noun phrases to make them a little bit more interesting. That's the higher level task. If you choose to do the lower level task, then your task looks like this. Again, it reminds you the difference between sentences and phrases. In your part one, what you need to do is look at each of these statements that you've been given, decide if it's a sentence or if it's a phrase. So write out the sentences, list them, then list the phrases, then go back to your sentences. If it's a sentence that has a verb, go and underline the verb. In your making sure, take each of these phrases and add it into the sentence. Make up some sentences using these phrases. And then in the final part, the practice your punctuation, you have to rewrite these sentences and do a bit of exchanging. Swap the verbs around in each pair so that the sentence makes sense. So for example, in the first one, it says, the lady laid an egg, the hen fried an egg. Those don't make sense at the minute. The lady doesn't lay an egg, the hen doesn't fry an egg. But if I swap around the verbs, so I've got laid and fried, it could be the lady fried an egg, the hen laid an egg. So swap the verbs and that will make sense. So your main activity today, P6, is all to do with our work on sentences and phrases. Once you've got that done, why don't you see how good you are at typing? Go back to the school website and click on the link which takes you to the Dance Mat Typing. Dance Mat Typing is a really good way for you to learn how to type properly, because as you go through the rest of P6 into P7 and then onto your next school, it's really important that you are able to find your way around a keyboard very quickly. So have a look at Dance Mat Typing, see if you can learn how to find the letters on your keyboard very quickly. And then if you've had a go at that, if you think you're already a great typer, then go and have a go at the typing challenge, which is at the bottom of the page, and see how good you are at typing when the countdown timer is on. How quickly can you type a series of words? P6, don't forget, we'd love to see you for Zoom this afternoon, so join us at 3 o'clock. If you can join us, make sure you've already emailed Mr. Coetzee by 1 o'clock this afternoon, please, to get your invitation. Hopefully we'll see you then.